Hey there, Parkinson's Warriors. I've been having some issues with my throat lately, with speaking and slurring and so on. So I wanted to try something different, try something new. And so I've been researching AI, artificial intelligence, and I discovered a way to make two AI characters talk to each other about Parkinson's. And so we're gonna show you that right now. And I have a few more of these coming out in the next few weeks. And so if you want to be notified when they come out, hit the like button, notifications bell, subscribe to the channel, do whatever they ask you to do at YouTube to make sure that I pop up in your feed. So without further ado, here goes some AI conversations about Parkinson's.
Hey there! Ready to get up close and personal with Parkinson's.
We're taking you on a deep dive into Parkinson's Warrior, a book by Nick Pernisco.
Now, Nick's not a doctor.
Right.
He's a person with Parkinson's, or PWP for short.
And he's sharing his own journey and hard-won wisdom.
And what's so powerful about Nick's story is that it begins with a diagnosis.
Oh, wow.
That took 2 years.
2 years of uncertainty.
Frustration. Imagine that he was only 31.
Incredibly healthy.
Even the doctors were stumped.
Can you imagine going to the doctor with what you think is just a stiff arm?
And it turns out to be something so much bigger.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Nick.
He's the kind of guy who's always on the move, teaching, running his own business.
He even thought about running for office.
Wow.
So when that left arm started acting up,
It was easy to brush off. It wasn't until his left foot started dragging that things took a turn.
and that's a crucial point he makes.
Early diagnosis is so important.
Parkinson's is a boutique disease, as he calls it,
Okay.
meaning it affects everyone differently.
No two cases are the same.
So finding a doctor who specializes in movement disorders,
Someone who's seen it all and can connect the dots.
that's key.
It's like finding a detective for your health.
And speaking of connecting the dots,
Nick's initial reaction to the diagnosis,
well, it's a roller coaster, right?
which is completely understandable.
It's a lot to process, especially at 31.
There's this sense of loss of control, the uncertainty of the future.
It can be overwhelming.
And one of the things I appreciate about Nick's book is that he doesn't shy away from those raw emotions.
Absolutely.
He talks about practicing how he was going to tell his loved ones.
Going for walks with friends, having dinners, and just laying it out there.
I have Parkinson's.
Yeah.
He knew it would be tough for them to hear, and he didn't want to sugarcoat it.
What strikes me is how vital that support system became for him.
His wife, his friends, his family, they rallied around him.
That's a constant theme throughout the book.
You don't have to go through this alone.
And you know, even with that support system, life throws curveballs.
Right.
Even without Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Nick and his wife decided to make a big move to Seattle.
She was starting business school, and they were thinking about their future,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the unknowns of Parkinson's.
It's like they were building a fortress.
Creating a strong foundation for whatever challenges might come their way.
Right.
And they were both so proactive.
Nick even tried going back to business school himself.
Oh.
Wanted to sharpen his skills.
But his health had other plans.
He had to withdraw, which was a major setback.
Yeah, it's easy to picture the emotional toll that must have taken.
He talks about going through a lot of therapists during that time.
Trying to make sense of it all.
Sure.
The diagnosis, the move, the changes to his dreams.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that Parkinson's doesn't just impact your body.
It's a whole life experience.
And that's where this idea of becoming a Parkinson's warrior really comes into play.
Okay.
He realized he needed a shift in mindset.
To focus on what he could control.
And that started with his well-being. He embraced his passions.
Spending time with his family and friends, traveling, writing.
And get this, pinball.
Pinball.
It seems like a surprising choice at first, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about it,
It's brilliant.
it keeps your mind sharp and your reflexes engaged.
Exact.
And that's a core message in his book.
Finding what works for you.
Okay.
It's not about following a rigid set of rules.
It's about discovering activities you enjoy that also happen to benefit your mind and body.
And he doesn't just stop at pinball.
Oh, no. Nick's a huge advocate for exercise,
Oh.
not just gentle walks in the park.
He's talking yoga, tai chi, cycling, even CrossFit.
Now, that's what I call a Parkinson's warrior workout.
But he backs it up with science, right?
Absolutely.
Exercise isn't just a feel-good thing.
It's actually the only thing proven to slow down the progression of Parkinson's.
He dives into how physical activity helps protect those precious dopamine-producing cells.
Which are crucial for movement.
And he really emphasizes finding activities you genuinely enjoy. because that's what will keep you coming back for more.
Yeah. He even talks about keeping track of your progress.
Not just for motivation, but also to advocate for yourself with your doctors.
Right.
Data can be powerful.
Especially when it comes to showing what's working and what's not. It's like becoming the CEO of your own health journey.
Right.
And you mentioned the science behind it all.
He doesn't shy away from the nitty-gritty.
He explains how Parkinson's works, the loss of dopamine, the impact it has on movement.
And even the non-motor symptoms that
Oh.
often come along for the ride. Things like depression, anxiety, sleep issues, even constipation.
Wow.
He covers it all, but in a way that's both informative and empowering,
So he's setting the stage for people to really understand what they're up against.
but not in a scary way. More like, here's the battlefield, and here are the weapons we have.
Precisely.
He wants people to feel equipped, not defeated.
And that leads us to one of the most important aspects of his approach.
Building a care team.
Okay.
He's a big believer in assembling a team of experts who can support you on every level.
And he doesn't just tell you to go find a neurologist.
Right.
He actually breaks down the different specialists.
You might want to consider for your team.
Okay.
Of course, there's your primary doctor and a neurologist who specializes in movement disorders.
Right.
But he also highlights the importance of a therapist.
Which is so crucial.
Parkinson's is a journey.
With emotional ups and downs.
Having a therapist to talk to?
Someone who understands the unique challenges of this disease.
Yeah.
That can make all the difference.
Right, because it's about treating the whole person, not just the symptoms.
Exactly.
And there are some other specialists he mentions.
That you might not think of right away.
Yeah.
Like a naturopath.
Someone who can offer alternative therapies.
Herbal remedies.
Hmm.
Things like that.
And he also talks about the role of an occupational therapist.
Who can help you adapt everyday tasks.
And maintain your independence as much as possible.
It's like assembling a team of superheroes.
Right.
Each with their own special skills.
All working together to support you on this journey.
Exactly. And he encourages people to be open to different perspectives.
Even if their approaches differ.
Right.
Because ultimately, it's about you, the PWP, making informed decisions about your health.
It's about taking ownership of your journey. And speaking of ownership,
one of the things that really resonated with me in Nick's book
was his emphasis on not just surviving with Parkinson's, but thriving.
He talks about redefining success, finding joy in the everyday.
And never giving up on your passions.
He even shares his own struggles with depression and anxiety.
Those days when it's hard to get out of bed.
Wow.
He doesn't shy away from the tough stuff.
And I think that's what makes his story so relatable and inspiring.
He talks about using mindfulness techniques.
Especially meditation.
To help manage stress and anxiety.
Right.
He even had this simple meditation technique he used.
While he was battling pneumonia.
Can you believe that?
Meditating while battling pneumonia.
Wow.
He talks about focusing on his breath, slowing it down.
And quieting his mind.
And you know what? It worked.
He said the pain lessened. His breathing became easier.
It's amazing how powerful the mind-body connection can be.
That's incredible. And it speaks to the power of finding what works for you.
Even in the toughest of times.
Absolutely.
And, you know, Nick doesn't just focus on the mental and emotional aspects.
He's also a big advocate for nutrition.
Right.
He talks about the importance of a balanced diet, specifically the Mediterranean diet.
Lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats.
And he makes a great point that it's not just about what you eat.
But also about how certain foods and substances can impact your Parkinson's symptoms.
Okay.
For example, he talks about caffeine.
Oh, caffeine, the double-edged sword.
Right.
Can help with focus and concentration.
Which can be really helpful for people with Parkinson's.
Yeah.
But it can also worsen dyskinesia.
Those involuntary movements we were talking about.
Right.
It's all about finding that balance, figuring out what works best for your body.
So it's about paying attention, being mindful, and listening to your body.
Absolutely.
He even touches upon medical marijuana.
Which is still being researched for Parkinson's.
He's careful to emphasize that it's not a cure-all.
And it's important to work with a knowledgeable doctor if you're considering that route. But it's another example of how he's encouraging people to explore all their options.
Right.
To be proactive in their health journey.
To be their own advocate.
Yes.
Now, we can't talk about Parkinson's without talking about medication.
Right.
It's a big part of managing the symptoms.
But it can also be a bit of a minefield, right?
It can.
It does a great job of breaking down the different types of medications.
How they work and their potential side effects.
Okay.
He starts with carbidopa-levodopa,
which is often the first line of treatment.
the gold standard, as it's often called.
But as Nick points out,
Yeah.
it can become less effective over time.
And it can also cause dyskinesia, those involuntary movements we were talking about.
And that's where things can get tricky.
Trying to find the right medication and dosage.
To manage the symptoms without causing too many side effects.
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
He also talks about dopamine agonists.
Medications like Requip and Mirapex.
These can be helpful, but they can also have side effects.
Right.
Like hallucinations and compulsive behaviors.
So again, it's about working closely with your doctor.
Yes.
Having open and honest conversations.
And finding what works best for you.
Absolutely.
And then there are the more advanced therapies.
Like deep brain stimulation or DBS.
This one is pretty fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Imagine a device implanted in your brain.
That sends electrical impulses to help control your movements.
That's DBS in a nutshell.
It's like science fiction come to life.
It is.
And while it's not a cure,
Nick talks about how it can be life-changing for some people, reducing tremors, improving mobility.
even lessening the need for medication.
And he's careful to point out that it's not for everyone.
It's major surgery,
Right.
and it comes with its own risks and benefits.
But the technology is always advancing, becoming less invasive and more effective.
It's pretty incredible,
He also mentions the Duopa pump.
which delivers medication directly to the small intestine.
This can be helpful for people who have trouble absorbing medication orally.
But again, it's a more invasive option that requires surgery.
So as you can see, there's a lot to consider when it comes to managing Parkinson's.
A lot to consider,
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
right?
But I think the biggest takeaway from Nick's book,
Is the importance of becoming an informed advocate for yourself.
absolutely, knowledge is power.
The more you know about Parkinson's,
The better equipped you are to make decisions about your health.
to have those crucial conversations with your doctors,
Right.
and to find the resources and support you need to live your best life.
To thrive, not just survive.
Exactly.
And that's what Nick's story is all about.
It's a reminder that even in the face of challenges,
There's always hope. There's always a reason to keep fighting.
and there's always more to learn, experience, and contribute.
He encourages readers to redefine productivity
Set realistic expectations.
and prioritize their well-being,
It's about embracing the present moment.
finding joy in the little things,
Right.
and never giving up on your dreams,
He even talks about the importance of gratitude.
both for yourself and for the people in your life who support you,
It's about shifting your perspective.
focusing on what you have rather than what you've lost.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Parkinson's warrior,
We're left with this thought,
what's one small step you can take today
inspired by Nick's story.
to prioritize your well-being?
Maybe it's trying a new form of exercise,
Yeah.
reaching out to a loved one.
Or simply taking a few moments to appreciate the good in your life.
Whatever it is, remember that you're not alone on this journey,
There's a whole community of Parkinson's warriors out there.
ready to support you every step of the way.
And that's a wrap on another deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
And keep living your life to the fullest.